Hello, we're back today with another video, and we'll be talking about who will the Utah Jazz be drafting in this year's NBA draft. We've done every pick before that, 1 through 22. So if you want to see those, go check those in my channel. While you're there, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more NBA draft content like this. Also, let me hear your opinions down below on who you think the Utah Jazz should draft, or if you agree with my opinions. While you're there, hit the like button if you do enjoy this content. Either way, let's get into the video. Who will the Utah Jazz be drafting? If you guys are thinking that, look, the Utah Jazz kind of had a season where they're kind of upset with. Rudy Gobert feels like he didn't play, or Donovan didn't play up to expectations. Feels like they kind of were thwarted in a season that they were supposed to seem like they could have been contenders to go to the Western Conference Finals and challenge the Lakers. But that didn't come to fruition. That didn't happen. So now we're wondering, what's the next step? Where do they need to go? What positions do they need to get more depth or find replacements at those positions? First off, I think that's power forward is one of the glaring holes. And the other thing is they need an actual ball handler besides Mike Conley when Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley aren't in the game. Someone who can move the ball around, facilitate the offense, and have some playmaking skills for himself where he can score and get other people to score, where he improves everybody around him. Obviously, it's easier to find a player like that in free agency, which there are veteran teams. So do not be surprised if they do end up trading this pick for either cash consideration so they can get more cap space, or they could do the other route, swing a trade, try to get a veteran player to get their team even more bolstered and have even more depth, because you rather get a guy who's set in stone, know where you're getting with a late first round pick than using a first round pick on a player. But if they're getting a first round pick and they don't trade it and they're looking to get a player, these are the players that I think would fit into their scheme and most likely be able to be immediate contributors to their team's success. So the first one, if you're thinking about it, is I really like this guy coming out of Mississippi State, Robert Woodard the second. He's a 6'7". He's got a 7'1" wingspan. He has some athleticism. It's not like he's gonna jump out of the gym, but he is a powerful leaper. Look, he can guard the 1 through the 4. Right? Maybe even some small ball 5s like PJ Tucker. You could put Robert Woodard on. Obviously, he can rebound. It's not like he's the worst rebounder, but he's gonna get beat out by bigger guys. But he's a versatile defender who can guard 1 through the 4. Active and attentive off the ball. Look, he smothers opposing ball handlers with his length. When you're 6'7" and you have a 7-foot wingspan, you're able to cover a lot of ground, even if you're not laterally quick, just because you're a massive physical profile. So he has the athleticism to keep up with some of the best players in the NBA. Obviously, those elite guys who have the elite athleticism, like Zion Williamson. I don't know why I butchered that name, but either way. So the thing is that he will be able to immediately come in and be able to be a positive defender for the Utah Jazz next to Donovan Mitchell, next to Michael Conley, next to Rudy Gobert, and whoever they have at the 4 next year, either if it's Joe Ingles or somebody they get out in the free agency markets. And the other thing great about him is he's made 43% of his three-pointers in college, and he has great mechanics, all right? And he's shown ability to attack closeouts, straight line drives, and find his open man. So he knows he has limitations, but he takes care of what his strengths are and really, really uses them to his advantage. Obviously, his problem is he's only scored 13.8 points per 40 minutes, and he sometimes played out of position on a slow-paced team with very little passing or shooting, which kind of hampered his production. So could that just be a sample size from a bad system where he still kind of showed his skill in a system that didn't match him? Though you have to take that 43% of three-pointers that he didn't make was in a small sample, okay? And he only scored 62% of his free throws in college. And if you know, free throw shooting percentage does translate into the NBA. If you have 75 and above, you have a chance of becoming a good shooter in the NBA if you have that in college, just because that means you have mechanic and you have the ability to shoot. But if you're hitting a small sample size of threes, but your free throw shooting is low, this might be a little bit more of a challenge. But he could be a real bargain pick to be a 3-and-D combo forward who can just be an immediate contributor and down the road be a very essential role player on a championship team. This guy is Isaiah Stewart. I know they have Tony Bradley behind Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gobert is there. But Isaiah Stewart, if you guys want, like, if you're playing a team like the Lakers, you saw the Lakers took any team that was smaller than them and just beat them with size. This man has a 7'4" wingspan, standing at 6'9". He's 250 pounds. His body is NBA ready. You can throw him out there and he'll do stuff. He shot 77% on his free throws in college, and he should be able to expand his range to the 3-point line just in a few months or even a few years. Though he could be an immediate rotation player. Look, yeah, he's only 6'9", but we've seen guys like Montrezl Harrell be successful in the NBA, and he's pretty mobile for his size, and that's something good. And he, again, 7'4", he can play well above the rim on both sides. He can be a rim protector day one, and he just has the energy to be a really good defender. Obviously not on the perimeter, he's going to get beat, but he could be a guy who can be a rim protection inside the paint, playing the 4 maybe next to Rudy Gobert or Tony Bradley in not garbage minutes, but when everyone's taking a break, and he can be a spot up 3-point shooter. All right, he does have his abilities that he's disabilities that not disabilities, but his disadvantages he's not good at. But you know where you're getting with him, and he's going to be a player who's always going to be able to contribute. The next guy coming out of Colorado, of Boulder of Colorado, I don't know how you would say that, but this guy, Tyler Bay, 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, and he plays a lot bigger than he actually is. Who's Conference Defensive Player of the Year? He's quick off his feet and agile, covering ground, defends everyone from the point guard to the big man. Obviously, he probably won't be able to do that in college, but he made 42% of his threes in a small sample size, but he had a career 74% free throw shooting. He had the touch and clean mechanics and leaves room for optimism regarding his development as a shooter. Though, he played mostly on the interior in college, but stands only 6'7", and he weighs 197 pounds soaking wet, so he needs to add strength. But, obviously once he gets on the PED cycle in the NBA, in the training room, he'll probably get there in about 2 to 3 years, so it looks naturally. But, obviously he'll be able to become a day one versatile defender for any team that drafts, and potentially he could become a 3-and-D player who, could sneak up that you're like, who is Tyler Bay? And then 3 years down the road, this guy is one of a borderline all-star because of how good of a 3-and-D player he is, because of his size, that he put on 20 pounds, and he's looking good, and he can defend the 1 through the 3 for sure, and some 4s, maybe even some 5s. This guy has the length to be one of those cats that can just go in, protect the perimeter like a brick wall, and then sometimes go in and block the big man on if they're going into the paint. He just has that type of explosivity on the defensive side, potential wise. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the best pick for them would either be Tyler Bay or Robert Woodard, whoever impresses them the most in interviews and during the combine that's coming up. But let me know what you guys think down below. Who should be drafted by the Utah Jazz? It's actually a really interesting draft coming down because it's random after the first 3 picks. So we'll see where things go. Let me know what you guys thought. While you're down there, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more NBA content like this. As always, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, because I know I will. Till next time, guys. Peace out.